The thing that really like goes sideways is how could you look at this guy and not think he's on juice, right? Like, hang on, where's the picture? This, like, this is him over here. Let's go a little bit bigger. Like, I don't know how anybody could look at that and be like, oh, that's completely natural. He got that way from eating beef balls and sunning his nuts and grounding and sun, like, getting sun on his skin and not wearing a shirt and growing hair in his beard and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's how he got to that. And by the way, he's in his 40s. I think he's 44, 45. He's in his mid-ish 40s. I knew right away when somebody asked me on a podcast like months ago, maybe even like a year ago, they're like, what do you think of Liver King? And I didn't even know who the fuck he was. I had to Google him. And I looked up a picture. I'm like, oh, this guy's on gear for sure. The dead giveaway is the abs. Okay. If you have a distended belly, because when you're on steroids, especially things like DECA, and like these aren't bioidentical, compounds. Like these are all, they're not. Okay. You could be on other shit too. Who the fuck knows? But it wasn't in the email. But like your muscles grow when you stress them, and then you feed them and you repair and you sleep, and you feed them and you repair and you sleep and you stress them. The muscles will grow. But as a consequence of that, your internal organs and all the tissue around your organs, all the subcutaneous tissue that's between the muscle, around the organs themselves, they also respond to androgens as well, and they often grow and they enlarge. One of the consequences of using too much gear is you can have an enlarged heart. It's one of the problems that a lot of bodybuilders have, which is why they don't live very fucking long. Which, it's a generally like short-lived career for most bodybuilders. Like Rich Piana was a perfect example of that. He was jacked and juicy as hell. And I think he died in his early 40s. He had a heart attack. I think his girlfriend was cutting his hair, if I'm not mistaken, was his story. Dude looked phenomenal. But there's consequences for putting that much crap in your body. Like, look, again, therapeutic testosterone is different from running bodybuilding sort of stacks. Therapeutic testosterone gets you back to levels that you're at when you're in your 25, 30, like in and around there, is what you aim for. Like, that's what I aim for. I want upper high range. So you can take a look at your ranges when you do your blood labs. I have my right at the upper high range. And people go like, well, where do you have it at? It's like there. That's where I have it. Well, like, how do you get it there? You just you just inject a little bit more. Too high, you don't inject, so much when you do your blood lab. So you monitor those things. But doctors, because their medical license and their practice is at risk, don't do anything to put your health into danger zone. Right? They're monitoring your prostate, your PSA. They're monitoring your blood lipids, your cholesterols, your organ health, your kidney health. Like kidneys are usually the first thing that go when it comes to steroid abuse, like looking like this. That's usually the first thing to go. Now, from what I understand, somebody's got copies of his blood labs out there. You probably see a video, maybe the Delt King, will be putting it out in the next couple of days, Derek. Because apparently that information has also become available. And I would guarantee you that when you see those blood labs, they're probably going to be shit. For you to take that amount of gear and eat that much protein, that much meat, if that's in fact what he was eating, like, I don't know if he did it every day or if it was just for the camera, for like a show. Your blood panels are not going to be good. I mean, we'll wait and see when that comes out, but I'm personally interested to see, what he got out of that. Another dead giveaway, by the way, is the size of the veins. Okay. When you're taking bodybuilder dosages of steroids, your veins pop big time like that, and they enlarge as well. Your blood pressure generally goes up. Your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, leans into dangerous areas, which all that means is your blood gets thicker, right? Because you have I'm going to completely fuck it up because I'm not a bro science guy, but basically you're making more red blood cells to move oxygen around, and as a consequence of that, your blood itself gets thicker. So I mean, like, even guys on therapeutic dosages of testosterone usually generally have to either donate blood or they have to monitor it closely. One of the things I do about once a month, because I go in for a vitamin bag over at my doctor's office, And once a month, the bag's empty, vitamin bag's done in you, wait a little bit, they throw the bag on the ground, and then you just drain out a little bit of blood to make sure that your hemoglobin and your hematocrit's in safe territory. Mine usually rides right at the upper limit, so I usually bring it down, a little bit by doing a little bit of a bleed out. It's called a therapeutic phlebotomy. I always pronounce that wrong, but that's what it is. That's what the process is. But I think guys like this, when you see veins that big, like my veins never get that big. That's just fucking ridiculous. That is a lot. And the problem that I have with all of that is, look, dude, maybe your, desecrated beef and heart and liver supplements were all good and useful, and they're quality products. But the only reason why you were selling $100 million a year of this shit, maybe it's not shit, I'm just calling it shit, but the only reason why you're selling that much of it is because you went around with your goofy hat on, this guy over here, with your stupid fucking hat on, telling people to eat raw liver and then doing podcast shows. Dude never wore a shirt. He was the brand, right? Like liver, he didn't even call himself Brian Johnson anymore. He actually started to refer to himself in the third person, and just said, Liver King. Like Liver King actually ate Brian Johnson. I think there was something like that came up at some point, right? So like there's nothing on here of him even wearing a shirt anywhere, with the exception of this one over here, which is a recent one. And even snowboarding here in this indoor ski hill, which I'm guessing is in Saudi Arabia or Dubai or something like that, he's not even wearing a shirt. But his entire brand was, look jacked and juicy as hell, and then go on podcasts. And then when people asked you if you were on gear, you would just deny it, which he did routinely over and over again. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of these podcasts that he was on a lot of fitness and nutrition podcasts. And I don't think that they cornered him hard enough. I don't think that they, were serious about getting to the bottom of it or calling him out. It was just because, oh, he has a social media following. Cool. Let's put him on our podcast and we'll talk. And he's very clever about talking about his products. Like I watched one entire podcast he did with Graham Stephan. Okay. And if you don't know who Graham Stephan, he's got a pretty popular channel. He's a little dude. By the way, Liver King is short as fuck. I can tell right away, because when he was sitting at the table with Graham, and I look at him right now and I look at his limb lengths, like I think Graham's about 5'5", 5'6". He looks identical in limb length and stature to my old roommate back in my 20s. I used to call him Pocket Hercules. He was jack dude too, but he was pure natural. He was about 155 pounds. And I heard somewhere in the podcast that he claims, Liver King claims that he weighs 195, 200 pounds, which is like 50 pounds more muscle than what my buddy weighed. Anyway, so that's a lot for a guy that size. That's going to put a lot of stress on his organs, a lot of stress on his body. You keep doing that over a prolonged period of time, you're not even knocking days or hours off your life. You're basically knocking years off your life. I don't know what the equation would be. Maybe for every 5 years that he's, looking like this, like as jacked as this, he could potentially be knocking off a year, of his life. Maybe it's a year for every 10 years. Who the fuck knows? But depending on whether or not he's managing his blood levels, which, I mean, you'd think like he would be, with the kind of money that he's got, selling $100,000 a year in fucking supplements, like you'd think he would be. And there's guys like The Rock out there that just look fucking ridiculous. Like The Rock is 50. Mike O'Hearn, I think, is 52. I'm going to get into those guys in a little bit. They just look fucking ridiculous. And there's absolutely no way that that's achievable naturally, but they also always deny it. So he's not the first guy to do it. He's not the last guy to do it. Now, a couple things as well, too. Yeah, there's somebody here in the comments saying roids mess with people's heads. Probably at the doses that he's doing, he might have a shorter fuse, but in the interviews that I watched him in, he seemed fairly composed. He's well spoken, he's thought out. He has a team with him everywhere he goes. Like he even travels with his weights. He travels on a fucking private jet and he brings his weights with him so that he's always got something to work out with, for the show, for the social media team that's filming his, his reels and his TikToks and his YouTubes and all that shit so he can promote it. When he's on the podcast, he's always bringing raw food with him, raw liver, raw meat, raw heart, marrow, shit like that. And then he gets the guests to try it. And then he also shows them, well, if you don't like that, then you can have this supplement that I have in my lineup, or I also own this company and you can get your nutrients. And then he talks about his ancestral tenets. So like he's put together a very well intertwined fuckery of stories. Like this guy's a storyteller. He has more stories than Walt Disney, and he's got some good stories, but he is the brand. The story is him. It's the shirtless dude sitting in the chair with his goofy hat on, talking about how he lives the 9 ancestral tenets and look like that, which you don't. It's impossible. There's no fucking amount of pills or beef blood protein shakes that you can drink from his line that is ever going to make you look like that. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.